Hello, friends. This is Dave Hurwitz, executive editor at ClassicsToday.com, here with the Haydn Symphony Crusade. And we're up to Symphony number 92, the Oxford Symphony, so called, because, of course, it was written to be performed in Paris. Naturally, that's why it got called the Oxford. Now, actually, it got that nickname because it was supposedly played at the ceremonies at which Haydn was given an honorary doctorate by Oxford on his first visit in London. But he'd already written this symphony a couple of years before, and it was first performed in Paris. And it's really kind of interesting when you think about it, that these last three symphonies that Haydn wrote for Paris were composed like almost within weeks of the French Revolution. You know, remember that? Marie Antoinette, let him eat cake, off with her head, that kind of stuff. These were some of the last sounds that the Ancien Régime heard before all hell broke loose. And it's really, it's an astonishing contrast. Music of such wit and culture and charm and just beauty, played just before, a bloodbath. Which goes to tell you, I guess, how out of touch the aristocracy in France was. I don't know. All I can tell you is the music is eternal, and it sounds just as wonderful on either side of the revolution. It really does. And the Oxford Symphony in particular is one of Haydn's most brilliant. I mean, they're all brilliant, right? But I mean, this is really one of his most brilliant. We have a dozen musical examples to go through, a lot of things to talk about, because there is a unity and brilliance in this symphony that is just mind-boggling, absolutely incomprehensible. The only thing you need to know, however, to enjoy all of this brilliance, no matter how intellectual or how emotionally deep or how whatever it is, the only thing you need to know is that the entire symphony is based on two ideas: a scale, going up or going down, it doesn't make any difference, and a bounce. What's a bounce, you might ask? Beethoven was really good at bounces. Remember the Coriolan Overture? Bum-ba-da-dum, boom-da-da-dum, boom-da-da-dum. That's a bounce. It's when you go boom, like that, with a generally wide range, wide interval. Some sort of thump on the bottom and then an on the top. Sometimes once, sometimes multiple times. Sometimes it gets wider. Boom, 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 like that. As long as it bounces, it's a bounce. And this symphony develops the bounce in ways that you're not going to believe, along with the scales, of course. But one of the things that we need to sort of begin with, I think we're not going to really start. There's a big, long introduction, which I'm going to play you. A very beautiful introduction. It's sort of very dreamy and luminous, and it's just lovely. But we're not going to go there quite yet. We have to begin with the motto for the entire symphony, essentially, and it's a scale and a bounce. It's also off tonic, which means it does not begin in the home key of the symphony, which is G major. I mean, the same as Symphony number 88. Haydn was really on top of his game in G major in his little group of symphonies. But I want to just play you from, let's see who's doing this, the Austro-Hungarian Haydn Orchestra under Adam Fischer. I want to play you the motto. And all you need to know is that it's a scale and a bounce, but it's off tonic. It's not in G major. And if you heard this for the first time, let's just say there was no introduction and the symphony just began with this little motto. What could you say about it other than it's a scale and a bounce? So here it is. That's it. It goes up. It goes down. It goes down. Da 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 da. Cha 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 cha. Bounce. That's it. That's the motto. And you have no idea of knowing what key we're in or where this music is going next. That's the beauty of the off-tonic opening, that Haydn has a good time, because it makes a wonderful, it shows up in different places and it goes, you don't know where it's going to go. So Haydn can make it go anywhere, and he does. That's the joy of it. So that motto is what you need to keep in mind. Ja da 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 ba 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 da 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 boom chick. Scales up and down and a bounce. But before we get to the rest of the exposition, let's start now at the beginning. Now you know what to listen for. And the beginning of the symphony, like I said, is this luminous, beautiful opening. It's very slow. It's marked adagio. It's an adagio. And it also begins, it's a coalescence adagio. The music begins to take shape. You will hear right away in the bass. Scales going up, scales going down. And then at the very end, I mean, there's a very emotionally poignant moment, after which there is a scale descending, a chromatic scale, actually. Da, 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 with ending in a bounce, very slowly. And then the music is off to the races. So let's start with the introduction. It's incredibly beautiful. Just listen for these little scales, gentle oscillations that don't seem to have any specific direction as of yet. Here they are. Very, very beautiful. I mean, it really is. So that's the introduction, and it's like fairly lengthy, as you noticed. And then the exposition takes off like a shot, with beginning with the motto, and then now you'll finally get to hear what happens after we hear the motto. When the symphony, the music drops into G major, the actual tonic key, and oh, it feels so good when that happens. That's another beauty of off tonic openings. You get the opportunity to really have a satisfying jolt, when the music is off to the races. So let's listen to the entire exposition, and then we're going to talk about a couple other aspects of it. Here you go. Brilliant, brilliant music. Absolutely brilliant. Now, one of the points that I want you to pay attention to is the motion music that we just heard. There are moments where Haydn, one of the things, let me put it to you this way, because I talked about it in the last video too. One of the things that Haydn is doing as he matures is that he's removing everything that's perfunctory. Everything that happens has a purpose and a necessity even that contributes to the overall message of the music, its overall narrative. And these motion music transitions between the first subject and the second subject are really, really interesting. Haydn usually throws a couple harmonic jolts your way and some big contrasts and some returns of the opening. The opening motto comes back in the middle of it. You might have noticed that. I want you to pay specific attention to the passage before the second subject arrives. It begins with the motto, then there's a minor key turbulent storm, but all of a sudden the sky clears and it's almost giddily happy. It's like you're taking a journey and there's a landscape, and at one point it's threatening, then the sun comes out and everything's fine, and then you're somewhere else, and the music is really going places. That's the drama and the sonata style, which Haydn basically invented or developed or raised to a high level so that Mozart and Beethoven could take it over and continue raising it to a high, not higher level. So I want to play you that passage leading to the second subject, and then I allow the music to play so you hear the end of the exposition and the repeat, at least just the opening of it, the repeat going back to that off-tonic motto, which sounds wonderful for some reason, the way Haydn ends it. I mean, he knows where he's going, always. And so he guides us along the way. Here's the passage in question. Listen to just the range of moods and atmospherics in this whole passage. Isn't that just great? I mean, that is so cool. So we're going to talk about the development section a little bit later when we get to the finale, because they have some things in common that we need to discuss. But also what's happening is that there is a wonderful coda to this particular movement. Coda means tail, right? It's an ending. And it contains, well, it's basically a development of the bounce. With a little bit of the second subject tossed in for good measure. But it's basically the bounce doing bouncy things. Dum, bum, 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 that sort of thing. So you get the idea of bouncing all over the place, because it's going to be so important in the ensuing movements. So let's play the coda of the first movement, and then you can go listen to the whole thing all by yourself and have a wonderful time. Listen for the bounce. All right, you get it? It's totally fabulous, really awesomely amazing. And when you know it well, it will become even more so. So that's the first movement, and it has laid out for us the basic ideas on which the symphony is going to be based. Now, the second movement is another adagio. It's quite slow and it's exquisitely beautiful. It has such a lovely, lovely theme. It's really almost Mozartian in its vocal refulgence. You know, it just sings and its harmony is rich and yummy and gorgeous. And I'm going to play you a bit the return of it from the second half of the movement. This is a very simple movement in terms of structure. It's just A, B, A. That's all. Very, very straightforward. So we're going to hear the theme, which is the A section, although it's a little bit enriched on its return. And also it has a tiny little codetta, a little coda, you know, or something to it, a little ending, which returns to the bounce, but in the most delicate, soft, shy kind of way. It's still the bounce. So I want you to hear that. I want you to hear how it works. Here is the theme with the little bouncelet thing at the very, very end. So, there you go. It has a little bouncy thing at the very end, and then there's the actual ending of the movement. But the middle section, oh baby, the middle section is all about the bounce. It really is. It's boom, chick, boom, chick, boom, chick, boom, bum, bum. That's what it is. It's a bounce thing. Really, really powerfully stated, with trumpets and drums and military march-like music. It's a total shock coming after the initial A section, that dreamy, beautiful A section. And I'm going to play the whole middle section. It's a couple of minutes of music. It's just fantastic. And it really, really gives you a sense of just how much variety Haydn can wring out of the simplest ideas, the most basic musical shapes. See, Haydn really thought of music, and I've said this a million times already, but it's worth pointing out again. He really thought of music as an almost physical substance that had a definite shape to it. And he could take these shapes and build all kinds of things with them. So here is the middle B section, the middle section based on the bounce of the slow movement. Ain't that nifty? Yeah, that's really cool sounding. I just love that passage. I think it sounds so it's so surprising, and at the same time really catchy. I mean, there's something, I don't know, there's something about it that just hits me. I don't know if it's going to have the same effect on you, but it's really cool. So that's the slow movement. And as you can see, I mean, there are also scale things going on all the time. One of the things about the scales, let me just say, that we heard from the motto, da, 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 but is that Haydn uses them both as thematic substance and as accompaniment. This symphony is full of chuggly little scale passages happening in the woodwinds, where you don't expect them. But the second subject of the first movement, dum bum ba da da dum bum, then it's going as an accompaniment to the theme. So the fabric of the music is pervaded, with these simple ideas, both in the forefront and in the background. Now the minuet. The minuet is, of course, another bounce and scale thing. Of course, that's what it is. But it also has, like all of these movements, its own thematic material, which is unique to the movement in question, so that we don't get bored. And we can continually enjoy the various transformations that Haydn rings on it. I just want to play you the whole minuet. And it begins with a bounce. Yada boom ba da 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 dum yum yum. And while it's doing that, listen to the scales underneath, like that. So it's bouncies and scalies, and it ends with a big bounce, like that, which derives audibly, I'm telling you, from that middle section of the slow movement. You may not notice it at once, but once you get to know the symphony really well, you begin to hear these things. Especially because that bounce in the slow movement, it was one of the ones that gets broader, wider, the more it bounces. Dum, bum, 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 like that. And that's what happens at the end of the minuet. Da, da, dum, bum, ba, da, dum, bum, ba, da, dum, bum. Same thing, right? So here's the minuet. Wonderful movement, really, and all as always in these minuets now with the Paris symphonies forward, they're totally not danceable, and they also often have moments of real emotional depth, pensiveness, certain shade, light and shade, shadows, things that are a little darkening. It's not just a 1, 2, 3, here we go off on the ballroom. No, it's not that at all. Now the trio section. The trio section. The trio section is based on a syncopated rhythm, which we already heard in the middle of the minuet. So it's a development, essentially. It's really a development section of a motto that we hear in the minuet, a rhythm, actually. But it morphs into bounce music. It does bouncy things as well. So the way I've put this example together is I play you the bit of the minuet that gives you the rhythm on which the trio is based, and then we get to hear the trio. It's wonderful with the syncopated horns. Jump, 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 boom, like that. But the second half is where the bounce happens. So here is the trio of the minuet introduced by the bit of the minuet that gave Haydn its rhythmic substance. Now, I really hope that as we go through these examples, you start to hear just how interconnected all of this stuff is. It really is. And that rhythm from the trio, it has nothing to do with the motto or anything else. I mean, like I said, each movement develops its own destiny while still participating in the general themes that, permeate the entire symphony. So that's the minuet. Now, the finale. The finale begins with one of the raciest tunes anybody ever came up with. I mean, you will never be able to get it out of your head. In fact, it has two of them. It has two of the raciest tunes you've ever heard in your life. Really, really exceptional. Try and get it out of your head. I was listening to this symphony in preparation for doing this talk. I listened to each symphony like 5,000 times. And my buddy Ali, who drives me around when I get into the city and go to work, I play these things for him too. And he was listening to it, and he got so hung up on the finale. I mean, for like days, he's been running around going, I mean, and who can blame him? So I'm going to play you the entire exposition. And as in the first movement, the motion music throws us a couple of curve balls harmonically. The second subject, oh my God, it's catchy. It is so catchy. And we're going to chat about that in a moment as well. But first, I want you to hear the entire exposition of the finale. Get your toes tapping. Okay, so did you notice the second subject? It's a bounce. And it's the same bounce that we heard in the slow movement, only sped up hugely. Bump, 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 bump. And the finale in the slow movement, it's jump, jump, boom, jump, jump. But it does the same thing. It has increasingly large intervals on each bounce. And so I want to play you the bounce from the a little bit of the bounce from the second movement, just to refresh your memory. And then I'm going to put in a little pause, and you'll hear the second subject of this last movement. It's just one of the most wonderful thematic transformations in all of music. I'm not kidding. I mean, the fact that it could go from that stern, striding march thing to this light, delicious, completely fluffy, enjoyable second subject. Haydn called it a daddy long legs because of the way the intervals stretch out as it goes. But anyway, here are the two, side by side, so you can get a sense of how it's the same idea. Oh, I just plots when I hear these things. Here you go. Yeah, and there's one more thing. There's one more thing you got to hear. Well, there's a couple, but really one last thing. I think this is our last major example here. You may notice when you listen to this that there is a big contrapuntal section in the middle of this movement. It's development section, because this is in sonata form, just like the first movement, with two very distinct subjects, just like in the first movement. And Haydn goes off on a sort of contrapuntal, very, very wonderfully buoyant and springy and fun to hear, but also serious. It adds a note of real seriousness and energetic discussion, argument almost. It's argumentative to the middle of this movement. And that fugal or contrapuntal, it's not really a fugue, but contrapuntal development picks up on an almost identical episode in terms of use of counterpoint, not thematically, in the first movement development section. And I want you to hear both of those because it's very, very interesting. The first one is based on da, 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 just that idea, the descending scale. But do you remember at the very end of the introduction, the scale was originally not diatonic like that. Da, 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 da. It was chromatic. It was da, 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 like that. Well, for the finale counterpoint version, he goes back to that descending chromatic scale. And so you've got, it's like karma, It really is. We have this wonderful moment where you've got contrapuntal episodes in both movements based on the two scale types that we've heard throughout the symphony, both descending. And let me just play them for you. I mean, the music is not identical, but the concept is the same. That's what I have to keep stressing. And so we know when we hear this finale, we immediately recall the similar episode in the first movement. It's something that joins both ends of the symphony together. So here it is. And that's really what you need to know, I think, to get this symphony completely. Now, the ending is, I've played a whole bunch of endings where they use Haydn's traditional 3 notes, chong, 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 that ending. This symphony does that too. But you can listen to that on your own. I hope these examples have really given you the enthusiasm to really dig down deep into this music. Listen to it a couple times. Listen to it carefully. It's only 25 minutes long for the whole symphony. I say only, of course. I mean, these days, if something's 25 seconds long, it sort of violates the rules of people's attention spans. But it really is just an exceptional work. And the more you listen to it, the more you hear, the more incredibly entertaining and enjoyable it gets as a listening experience. And after this symphony, we're into the big 12, the 12 symphonies Haydn wrote for his visits to London, which offer the capstone of his symphonic career. And we're going to do the Symphonie Concertante, and we're going to do symphonies A and B. So don't worry. We have altogether 15 works that we need to cover. 12, 13, 14, 15 works. Wow. So keep on listening, friends. Thanks for joining me. Take care.